Hey everybody, welcome. My name's Clint. I'm Mystic Valley Designs. I do custom airbrushing on model horses. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. Today we've got a Clydesdale stallion model by Breyer, and we're going to be painting this as a fantasy tiger stripe. It'll be a standard, kind of a standard orangish tiger, black stripes, so pretty familiar looking. But we're going to turn it into a fantasy tiger, so let's get started. I've got my Paasche VL3 airbrush here. Got air in it. The first thing we'll be doing is just simply giving the back of it a coat of what I call custom tiger. Just simply an orangish brown type of color. So let's get started with that. I appreciate you folks watching. I think this is about my 4th or 5th video on my new YouTube channel. So thank you for tuning into that. I appreciate that. I've already gotten lots of hits on it, lots of comments, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay. It's about halfway done for this color. Give me a moment, and I'm going to grab a heat gun and get this dry a little bit. Now, onto the next side of it. More paint. Mixing up custom colors like this just speeds up the whole process tremendously. And it's especially useful when you'll be doing a run of more than 3 or 4 models of any one color. And I do this type of tiger style or tiger color very frequently. So it's nice to have custom colors on hand already pre-made. Okay. Let me clean out my airbrush. I'm going to put a different color in it. Give me a moment, please. Okay, we've got him dried off now. The next thing we'll do is change over to a much smaller airbrush. It'll be what will it be? It'll be a custom, first of all, it's an Iwata. It'll be an Iwata custom CMC Plus. And I'll be shooting ink through it, and you'll see why in a moment. But excuse me while I clean up my airbrush and get a new one ready. Okay, everybody. Hi, I'm back. Thanks for your patience. I appreciate that. This is an Iwata custom micron CMC Plus cutaway handle, 0.18 millimeter nozzle. Just a fantastic airbrush. This has made me a lot of money. I cannot say enough good things about that one. Let me get some ink over here. There we go. So now what we're going to do is just simply add black tiger stripes to this. If you've ever looked at pictures of a tiger in like an encyclopedia or magazine or online or anything, their stripes could almost look like lightning bolts if you squint hard enough. So that's what I'm trying to emulate here. Here's what it looks like so far. The stripes are relatively random, but they do sort of follow a pattern. And the pattern loosely correlates with the hair growth pattern on a real tiger. I'm down in my studio in my basement. That's where my shop is set up. And normally I'd have the radio going right now. But for purposes of the video, I turn my radio off. But usually I have music going. It's just me and the dog down here. I got Ozzy, my Australian Shepherd, over there. In one of my previous videos, and like I said, I've only done 4 or 5 videos on YouTube so far. In one of my previous videos, one of the people watching the video or seeing it made the comment, or asked the question, I should say, what paints are you using? I use a variety of paints. They're all acrylics, with a few exceptions. Now, what brand of acrylic I'm shooting on any given model? For example, this custom tiger orange that I made up, I have cadmium yellow, metallic gold, and Christmas red in there. That's 3 paints, probably from 3 different manufacturers. So when I use paint, I'm very fluid, pun intended, on who I'm using or what paint I'm using. I don't have allegiance to any one specific brand like Createx or Liquitex. For my purposes here in my studio making model horses, for my purposes, acrylic paint's acrylic paint. The only thing I'll do occasionally is I'll put in some hardener. I've also got some retarder there if I'm using a brush, one of these brushes. If I'm using a brush and I need to slow down the dry time, I'll put a few drops of retarder into my paint. For the most part, I'll use whatever's available, and I'm not real brand specific. Here's how we're doing so far. Not bad. If you've ever looked at a tiger, I do not believe they have stripes going down onto their belly. So the belly on mine will just simply be plain white. I like to give the tips of the ears some black. Oh, back to the topic of paint. I said with a few exceptions, it's all acrylic. This happens to be ink right now. This is, I don't know what kind of ink it is. Higgins calligraphy ink. It's waterproof black ink, it says. And the reason I'm using ink is because I'm using this airbrush. And this airbrush is, the nozzle in it is small enough and fine enough, and my air pressure is low enough that I can't shoot acrylics through this the way it's set up right now. Here you can see what I'm doing to the face now. Got the eyes darker. So I spill all my ink. Got the eyes darker. I've got stripes going around the face. But you can see how close I'm getting to the surface with my airbrush. I'm literally 1 or 2 millimeters away from it. And my air pressure right now, because of this particular valve right here, my air pressure coming out of here is probably 1 or 2 pounds at the most, probably even less than that. This particular airbrush, I've had this forever. It's probably 20 years old by now. When I first got it, I'm gonna open the valve up a little bit, back off the needle a little bit so I can shoot a little bit more ink. When I first got the airbrush, the first thing I did was send it off to a company out in California called Coast Airbrush, and I had them modify it, and took out all the O-rings. Nothing wrong, it was a brand new airbrush, but I had them work. I essentially had them hot rod it for me, and now I'm gonna choke off the air supply again just a little bit more. Close the valve down all the way. Open it back up about 3/4 to 1 revolution. Choke off the needle, back it off about 1 millimeter. And Coast Airbrush, they just simply tore the brush apart, replaced all the O-rings with their own proprietary O-rings that were like Teflon coated or made of Teflon or something, I don't know. But the point was I wanted to shoot some pretty aggressive thinners through it, some pretty caustic chemicals through the airbrush for cleaning it. And I didn't know if the standard factory O-rings would stand up to that. So I sent it off to Coast Airbrush. They're still in business, by the way. And I don't know if they're still offering that service anymore or not. Probably, it wouldn't surprise me. But because of their efforts, I have an airbrush with O-rings that are now 20 years old, and it's working just great. Here's where we're at so far. There we go. That's what it looks like over here. We're going to darken some of these up just a little bit. For some of you who are less familiar with airbrushes, the airbrush I'm using is made by Iwata from Japan. It's a highly regarded brand of airbrush. Arguably, probably the top brand in the world. There's a lot of other companies out there that make good airbrushes. Paasche, Wald. What are some others now that I'm talking about? I'm drawing a blank. But they make really good airbrushes. So if you ever get a chance to get an airbrush, I would highly recommend either Paasche or Iwata. I would recommend the Paasche because they are extremely durable. They are very well built. Sort of like the difference between a Chevy and a Lamborghini. This would be the hot rod Lamborghini version of an airbrush. In my opinion, the Paasche's, they're just built like tanks. They last forever. They do what they're supposed to. They're not fussy. And on the other hand, this Iwata is also very durable. But because of the tolerances inside of it, how small some of the components are, it can be a little bit finicky. But you just simply, you have to develop the skill to work with your equipment. Now I'm going to open up the air just a little bit, pull the needle back just a little bit, so I can open up my volume just a little bit. I'm going to darken a stripe down here, down the back, and up the neck. We're going to do some shading under the muscles. So there's what we're looking like on the right side. There's the left side. Obviously they're not, mirror images or anything. These lines are kind of random. More shading under the muscles. Now by the end of this video, I've spent maybe a half hour on this model so far. At the end of the video, I'll have to do some actual brush work on the feet. I will not shoot that in the video here, but that will take 5 minutes at the most. So now I'm pretty much done with this, this black. So far I've shot two colors, a custom orange and straight black ink. So now give me a moment. I'm going to switch back to my Paasche brush and add a third color. So give me a moment here and I'm going to clean up my airbrush. So hang tight. Hi, thanks for hanging in there. I appreciate your patience through the magic of video editing. I've erased the last 5 minutes or so. So now we have shot two colors onto my model. A base coat of tiger orange color. I put on black stripes with black India ink. And now the third color that we're going to put on, we're just sort of going to dress it up a little bit. Plain old gold. And this is straight out of the bottle, so it's way too thick to use. I need to thin it down just a little bit. So a blob into there. Thin it down with water. Straight out of the tap, nothing special. My phone is angry with me. I'm burning through batteries really fast. Okay, so now I've got plain old gold right out of the bottle. I have no idea who the manufacturer is or anything. Folk art. This probably came from Hobby Lobby is where I'm guessing, but I don't know that. I've had the bottle forever. I have no idea where I bought it at. Okay. Glasses. Get some gold in here. And I'm not really going to paint it gold. I'm just going to give it a light dusting. So it has a little bit of shimmer or sparkle to it. It'll make it pop and come alive just a little bit better. But, you know, I'm not going to drench it in gold or dunk it in or anything like that, so. But all I did was give it a, you know, a very light dusting. My nozzle of my air gun was, you know, back there 5 or 6 inches away. This will be dry in 30 seconds. But this heat gun just helps tremendously. It speeds things up so much. Besides the air compressor and the airbrushes, this is probably my third or fourth most important piece of equipment. So I don't know if this will show up on camera or not, but it's got some gold flake dusted over it, and it just gives it a little bit more shimmer. It makes it come alive a little bit better. I like it more that way. Now, give me a moment and I'm going to clean up this airbrush. One moment. I'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate that. So we've got a tiger striped model now. It's based on a Clydesdale stallion model from Breyer. And we started off with an orangish, brownish yellow coat. We added some black stripes. I dusted some gold over it. Now we're going to move on to the eyes. Hi, Ozzy. Ozzy, my puppy dog here. Hi, Ozzy. Hi, sweetheart. So now we're going to move on to the eyes. And the eyes I'll do with a couple of brushes, a couple of different brushes. I need to spin my card around here to find the correct brushes. Here we go. There's one. And there's the other one. Okay. To do the eyes, you know, obviously we're going to use a brush to do them. And the first thing we'll do is start off with white. And as you can see here, the eye and everything surrounding it is completely black. So now I'm just going to push in some white, just simply so I have a light base to add my next few colors. Now this one is a 5.0 size, and this one came from Michael's Arts and Crafts or something like that. Michael's, anyway. Big national retail chain for the art industry. So we just simply get the eye and paint it entirely white, just so I can lay down other colors on top of it. Okay, here's what it looks like now. Now we're going to hit this with a heat gun. If any of you have ever used a heat gun, not a hair dryer, but a heat gun, they can get hot fast. That's the whole point of it. And you can actually bubble your paint. You can boil your paint. Even though it's dry, you can get bubbles underneath of it and ruin your paint job super fast. So on, off, and get out of there with the heat gun. Okay, so next, when I do, this is a fantasy model. In the horse industry or in the model horse industry, this is known as a fantasy model. When I do eyes on a tiger model, I have certain colors that I use repeatedly. And that's going to be a glow-in-the-dark yellow and a glow-in-the-dark green. And I'll switch those colors up once in a while. But give me a moment. I'll grab those right now. Now these are, oh, they're also made by Folk Art. Glow-in-the-dark green, Folk Art glow-in-the-dark yellow. Now these came from Walmart. And I've done nothing to these. They're straight out of the bottle the way I bought them. Oh, oops, wrong color. It's hard to find good help these days. So anyway, a couple of drops of fluorescent yellow. And we're back to, both of these brushes say 5.0. They are way different sizes. So we're going to continue with this one. And we're going to pick up some glow-in-the-dark yellow. And where I put white, it will be almost entirely yellow. Now, if you've ever used glow-in-the-dark paint, they're kind of a novelty. They have their pigment coloration is very limited. In other words, they're translucent. You can see what's underneath. They're not opaque. And that's the reason I painted the eye white to begin with a moment ago. Okay, so now I've got a white eye with a yellow, large yellow dot in the middle of it. So we're going to dry that with a heat gun. The next color I'm going to add is fluorescent, or not fluorescent, but glow-in-the-dark green. And again, I'll make a dot in the center of the eye, slightly smaller than the yellow dot that I just made. Okay. So this is what we look like now. So the next thing I need is black. Here we go. And black will form my pupil in this eye. And for that, I'm going to want a smaller brush, even though it says it's the same size, number 50. It's physically, the hairs are fewer and smaller. Now, normally a pupil is round and, expands and contracts with the amount of light. Again, this is a fantasy model, so I don't have to pay attention to reality. So I make the pupils on my tigers, I make them in a V shape, sort of like a reptile or snake-like. Just something neat to do. And then under the eyelid, I'm going to follow it around with black to make a shadow over the entire eye. So here's the eye before. Here's the eye after. So I start with that V and then put a shadow under the entire eyelid. But wait, there's more. We'll shoot this with a heat gun real quick. Next, I need a toothpick. I'm going to put a specular highlight in the eye, like it's reflecting light. And to do that, I need, at this scale, I need something that's just so tiny it's not even funny. So I do that with the tip of a toothpick. And we're just going to put two tiny dots close together on this eye. See if we can get that in there. Now I'm done with that. The next thing I'll do is a feline muzzle or nose. I need some paints for that. And we're just gonna make a pink nose. So I've got some kind of, it doesn't even have a label on it. That's how old it is. I need a different brush again. Where are you? Nope. Let's see. Here we go. This will do. And for that, it's just going to be mostly white with a dot of red in it to make it some kind of pink. Now, in my opinion right now, this is way too bright of a pink, so I'm going to take a dot of black and turn this into a tone of pink. Tone being gray plus hue. And so I just dumbed it down a little bit with the color. But anyway, so now we've got a pinkish muzzle on it. And we're going to go back with a super tiny brush, some black, And felines and canines, they have a split in their nose. So we're just going to put a tiny stripe down there. It's kind of too heavy. So now I'm going to go back over it with that tone of pink. As long as I said I wasn't going to do the feet, but shoot, as long as we're here, we're going to do the feet. And the feet are deceptively simple. Black. Four tiny stripes to delineate toes. That's really all there is to it. I'm done. There's the toes. All 4 feet. Muzzle, split in the nose. Eyes, highlights in the eyes. Lightning bolt stripes down the sides. And a very, very faint light dusting of gold over the top. You can also see the gold over the white right here. So, ta-da, we're done. The only thing left to do is sign the bottom of it and then clear coat it. And for these type of models, I use a rattle can just to, it'll either be Krylon or Rust-Oleum. They both make a nice product. It's consistent. It flash dries well. It covers well. It's hard enough. It's not as hard as a 2K clear from an automotive supplier, and I do use those also. They are ridiculously expensive and hideously toxic. So do not use 2K clear unless you have a lot of ventilation and a really good mask that does not take out particulate matter, takes out fumes. The VOCs, volatile organic compounds, you've got to get that out of your lungs because the cyanoacrylates inside a 2K clear, they will chew up your lungs really, really fast. So I try not to use a 2K clear very often. But for this one, I'll just simply do a can of Krylon or a Rust-Oleum, probably a gloss. But I'm done with this. So everybody, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your patience. Thank you for watching this with me. Thank you for watching the channel. I appreciate that. We got a tiger done. Yay. Thanks. Take care. I'll see you on the next video. Bye now.